So I wanted to do a quick video on TWG, which is the big mover of the day, which also has had some really interesting price action today. So it started off this morning with this. They dropped an offering at a huge discount to where it was trading. They did the offering at 40 cents, and then it did this dip, and then it just soaked and came right back up, and then obviously it continued on. Um, so pre-market, when it was making this big gap, luckily I found the connection that I'll get into before it did the offering. But one thing I like to do that you may have seen me do in other videos is identify people that are involved in a stock and see what other stocks they've been involved in that may have had similar moves. Um, so obviously everybody saw that they had an S1 pending. So I saw that the underwriter for that pending offering was this AC Sunshine, um, who was also involved in this other stock, CTNT, which I'll show in a sec. Also, the Revere did their IPO, who was also involved in this GSIW, which is a Chinese pump. A lot of you probably remember from recently. So some underwriters that are involved in these kind of Chinese sketchy pump and dump stocks. But anyways, and the way I found it is so on the back end in our database, I can search and filter by underwriter to see which tickers they're involved in. This isn't a user facing feature yet, but it will be soon. But anyways, so I saw that AC Sunshine also did this offering for CTNT on May 14th, which a lot of you may remember because it had a wild move as well. So basically what happened on that day on May 14th was kind of the same thing. They dropped an offering pre-market. You can't really see here because it made this wild move, but it dipped and it came right back up, just like TWG. So luckily I was prepared for that. I didn't trade it that well because I very rarely long stocks on, at least on the first day, the first gap day. But I did get this first because when it did this move, I was like, oh, okay, like it looks like they're following the same exact playbook as CTNT, right? But then once the market opened and there was super high volume, I'm just not very good at trading that type of action. I'm not really a scalper. I like to on the short side, I like shorting stocks that will fade all day and not have a lot of volume or a lot of trappy action. And then longing, I usually like longing multi-day movers, which I think I get into in some other videos. But anyways, yeah, I had the long, sold it, got back in, sold it, got shaken out here, got back in, and then I got shaken out right before. Can't really see it here, but it looked like it was stuffing hard and then coming back down. And just faked me out. I mean, as it may have faked out some shorts too who were seeing that same action. That's probably why it had this squeeze, because it did look like it was dumping. Anyways, I mean, obviously, as you can see, I'm not very good at trading that type of action, but yeah, I mean, the moral of the story is, when you can draw these connections and you at least can anticipate, the potential price action, which in this case, very controlled, not the best for my trading style. But in terms of what to expect next, I mean, we can look at CTNT, what it did, and it actually, so this was the first day, right? Trappy action, manipulated action all day. And then they kind of kept on propping it, for multiple days. And not saying that that's necessarily, exactly what it's going to do, but there's certain junctures where if you start seeing the same behavior, then you can potentially anticipate what's going to happen next. Like, for example, this was a juncture right here. This offering dip and soak and come back. That was like okay, this is like repeating the pattern. They're pulling kind of the same playbook. So, I would probably say like this action, like, I wouldn't really do anything with this personally. But if they did have some kind of like sell off and trap and then consolidate over VWAP, that's something to keep in mind for next time. And then also because we know that now there's 27 million shares that the people who bought the offering bought at 40 cents, those are going to be dumped at some point. Now, obviously, you can see from the price action, they're not being dumped now. We'll have to see. Maybe they will be. But if it does have this blow off move, a massive blow off move, then you can potentially anticipate a dump because they did do it all in one day, right? You see here. So like after it has a blowout move, then you can be a little bit more confident um, in potentially a big move to the downside. So just certain like junctures you can keep in mind when you know that there's a connection between two stocks, or at least the person involved pulling the strings. And that's it.